The Tale of the Sharktocrab. In the quaint, secluded coastal town of Misthaven, tales of the enigmatic Sharktocrab were part of every child's upbringing. The village elders, with furrowed brows and eyes glinting with a mix of fear and caution, would often recount the legend to wide-eyed youngsters. They hoped these tales would serve as a stern warning, ensuring that no young soul ever dared to venture too deep into the ocean's treacherous and deceptive embrace. Every seasoned fisherman in town had the tale on the tip of their tongue, whispered at night around campfires or in hushed conversations at the local tavern. While the story was well known, it was the fervent wish of all who took to the sea that they would never meet the creature face to face. The legend began with a tale of forbidden love and nature's mysterious ways. The Sharktocrab was said to have been born from the unlikely and passionate union of a mighty shark, a cunning octopus, and a resilient crab. Each parent contributed distinct, fearsome features to their offspring. The creature boasted the streamlined, menacing head of a shark, known to strike terror in the bravest of hearts. From the octopus, it inherited 8 long serpentine arms, each one equipped with powerful suckers that could pull a man under in a heartbeat. And from the crab, it had gained a robust and impenetrable exoskeleton, guarding it against potential threats. Deep below, in the darkest and least explored caverns of the ocean, the Sharktocrab lurked. Its lair was surrounded by eerie silence, save for the occasional bubbles rising to the surface, hinting at the monstrous presence below. With patience that only such a creature could possess, it lay in wait, ever ready to pounce on any unsuspecting prey that dared to tread into its territory. In the heart of Misthaven lived Old Man Bennett, a seasoned fisherman whose stories were as numerous as the scales on the fish he caught. His skin, wrinkled and tanned from countless days under the blazing sun and salt-laden winds, resembled the ancient, leather-bound pages of forgotten maritime journals. Silver streaks adorned his hair and beard, while his deep-set eyes held mysteries that many believed were older than Misthaven itself. Among the many tales he told, there was one that stood out, one that made even the most boisterous of tavern-goers fall silent, the day he came face to face with the dreaded Sharktocrab. On a fateful day, when the skies were painted with angry shades of gray and the ocean roared its defiance, Bennett had set out, against the advice of his peers. As he navigated his boat through towering waves and blinding rain, he felt an extraordinary pull on his fishing net, unlike anything he'd ever experienced. His heart raced with excitement, believing that perhaps he had caught a school of fish so large it would become the stuff of legends. With a combination of eagerness and the strength honed from decades of battling the sea, Bennett began reeling in his net. But what surfaced was not the shimmering scales of fish, but the twisted, gnarled tentacles of the very creature whispered about in hushed tones. The Sharktocrab. The tentacles with their powerful suckers gripped the boat's edges, threatening to drag it into the abyss below. As waves crashed around him, Bennett locked eyes with the creature. Its crab eyes, cold and calculating, glistened with a dark intent. They seemed to bore into his very soul, evaluating, judging. And then, with a chilling inevitability, the monstrous shark mouth of the beast slowly parted, unveiling rows of razor-sharp serrated teeth that glinted menacingly, ready to devour all that dared cross its path. Amidst the chaos of the storm and the looming menace of the Sharktocrab, Bennett's mind raced. Memories of his youth, lessons from his ancestors, and the weight of Misthaven's legacy all converged in a single moment of clarity. Drawing deep from the well of his courage, Bennett reached for the one thing he believed might offer some salvation: a lantern, its fragile glass housing battered by the elements but refusing to shatter. As he held it aloft, the fierce gusts of the storm made the flame inside dance frenetically, casting erratic shadows across the boat's weathered deck. But it wasn't the lantern itself that seemed to enrage the Sharktocrab. As Bennett thrust the lantern forward, the tumultuous flames revealed the gleam of a polished amulet hanging around his neck. This amulet, a family heirloom passed down through generations, was believed to hold an ancient power. Crafted by the first settlers of Misthaven, it was intended to protect its bearer from malevolent sea creatures. However, instead of deterring the Sharktocrab, the sight of the amulet seemed to trigger an even deeper rage within the creature. Perhaps it was an old vendetta against its original makers or a raw, instinctual hatred. Nobody could tell. Its tentacles, now filled with renewed vigor and fury, thrashed even more violently, reaching for the ship's mast, sails, and deck. In a desperate attempt, Bennett recalled an old fisherman's song, a chant his grandmother once whispered to him, believed to pacify the angriest of sea beasts. With adrenaline pumping through his veins, he began to sing, his voice echoing across the roaring waves and tempestuous winds. But the Sharktocrab, perhaps too consumed by its fury or too powerful to be swayed by mere human song, charged at the ship. With one mighty thrust of its tentacles, it rocked the vessel violently, causing Bennett to stumble and the lantern to crash onto the deck. The flames spread quickly, turning the situation from dire to catastrophic. It was a battle of man against nature, of old legends against the brutal reality of the sea. And while the outcome of that fateful night remains a mystery, any sailor from Misthaven will tell you to respect the tales of old, for the sea holds secrets both wondrous and terrifying. Just as suddenly as the Sharktocrab's attack began, it ended. After a few moments of immense destruction and chaos, the creature paused, its vast silhouette cast against the thundering backdrop, its tentacles slowly unwrapped from the ship's mast and deck, and its monstrous eyes fixed on Bennett one last time. There was no discerning emotion or intent in those eyes, only the inscrutable depth of a being shaped by eons beneath the sea. With a powerful sweep of its tentacles, the Sharktocrab propelled itself backwards, creating a maelstrom that further battered the already ravaged ship. And then, as abruptly as its fury had been unleashed, the creature plunged into the depths, disappearing into the inky blackness from which it had emerged. Bennett, drenched and gasping, clung to what remained of his ship. The vessel was a shadow of its former self, with tattered sails and a splintered mast. The deck was awash with seawater and the remnants of the once sturdy lantern. But through sheer determination and years of maritime experience, Bennett managed to steer the wreck towards Misthaven. The sun began to rise as the ship limped into port, its silhouette a testament to the ordeal of the night. The townsfolk, having seen the approaching wreck, gathered at the docks. Whispers filled the air, with many speculating about the legendary Sharktocrab. As Bennett stepped off the boat, supported by some of the younger fishermen, he looked around at the faces of his community, their expressions a mix of relief and awe. The legend of the Sharktocrab, once a tale to caution children, had become a stark reality for the people of Misthaven. Bennett's story was not just of terror, but one intertwined with resilience and the age-old traditions that held the community together. The tale of that fateful night spread like wildfire, carrying with it both the cold dread of the Sharktocrab's wrath and the warmth of a lesson learned. This story was not just about a beast from the depths, but about the power of legacy and the timeless wisdom passed down from generation to generation. It was a testament to how, in the darkest moments, when faced with insurmountable odds, the strength drawn from cherished traditions, unyielding courage, and steadfast belief could create a beacon of hope. As weeks turned into months and months into years, Bennett's encounter with the Sharktocrab became a central piece of Misthaven's lore. Parents would recount the tale to their children, emphasizing the importance of honoring their roots and understanding the protective rituals of their forebears. To this day, as the sun bathes the beaches of Misthaven in its golden hue, children can be seen gleefully adorning themselves with shiny trinkets, little amulets, reflective pendants, and shimmering bracelets. These aren't just ornaments, but symbols of protection, reminiscent of Bennett's own life-saving amulet. And as they run along the shore, their laughter echoing with the rhythm of the waves, one can often hear them humming the old fisherman's song. A melody once used to stave off a monstrous terror now serves as a gentle reminder. By honoring traditions and standing united, the shadows of the past can remain just that, shadows in a tale, ensuring the dreaded Sharktocrab stays confined to stories, never to breach the peace of Misthaven again.